Hello everybody and welcome to our presentation on using images to upskill asset managers. We're delighted to have the opportunity to deliver our presentation, so thank you very much to the Institute of Asset Management for that opportunity. Thank you. Cinzia.
So before we start, let me introduce myself. So I'm Cinzia, I'm an Associate Director in Strategic Consulting in Jacobs, and I work across practice groups, in particular like business intelligence and of course asset management. And I have a strong passion for digital and innovation. Gary?
Thanks, Cinzia. So I'm Gary. I'm a Senior Associate Director in Strategic Consulting, and I work in asset management for a range of cross-sector clients. So we both work for Jacobs, a solutions company that sets out to challenge today and reinvent tomorrow. And we work particularly in a part of the business called strategic consulting. And in our group, we try to bring together the organization, its assets through a strategy, through a strategic approach that helps that organization derive the very best value from their assets. So in our presentation today, we're going to run through the need for training in this particular organization. We'll look at the criteria for the solution that we developed. We'll run through the development process itself, how we implemented the training, and we'll finish off with a brief summary at the end. Okay, so the need for asset management training. The current status was that our client, Transport for Buckinghamshire, had already completed one round of training that they launched when they were certified for ISO 55001. As part of their framework, they had a RACI, which led to the level of training required for each individual in the organisation. We used a widely available HMEP training at that particular time. But since then, there have been significant changes in the organisation, including new senior leadership, new stakeholders, and the inevitable staff changes. So our vision for the new training was to create a training pack that can be used to upskill people across the organisation working in asset management. But we also wanted to use that training to onboard new team members, including the new leadership and stakeholders. We wanted to be able to fully engage the whole organisation, and we wanted to demonstrate awareness of asset management and identify the competencies required in individuals in delivering the framework. Okay, so the criteria for developing this training, and lots of words here. Cinzia, which stand out for you?
For me, the one in the middle, Gary. Bespoke. Like one of the requirements was for the training to be bespoke. And I still remember that the conversation with our clients, and we were saying, there is a lot of training out there. There is a lot of information about asset management, but sometimes like those lack of, the link to, is it relevant to people in a way that, is it meaningful to the people? Like when we read about, the asset management theory, like does it mean, what does it mean for asset management and the daily job, all do. So that was for me like the one that really stuck my attention. How about yours?
So for me, the words that really stick out for me are accessible to all. We wanted this training to be fully accessible. We wanted it to be friendly in its approach so that we could fully engage with everyone we wanted to participate in the training. So they were the key things for me, Cinzia. Okay, so we'll just run through the development. Over to you, Cinzia.
Thank you, Gary. So, and I'm going to start like, with an exercise. So, and I'm going to start with you, Gary. So if I say the word in Italian, cello, do you know what I mean?
I have no idea, but I would hazard a guess that it's the same as the English word for cello.
Almost there. Let me give you a clue.
So now that I see that image, I suspect cello means sky.
That's right, and that's the idea that we had behind our solution. So the thing is like that question was obvious as soon as you saw like an image. So for us, that was the beginning of the development of the ideation process. And the question was like, how can we link, images, so our experience as asset manager to the theory? How can we really unlock the power of that experience to learn about, the asset management theory? That was our starting point.
And I don't think I'll ever forget that the Italian word for sky is cielo.
Fantastic. Um, so what we did was, so we needed like an image. So we needed like a focal image, like for asset management, to start to learn about asset management. And how better, to start from the asset management framework. So what we did was to take the asset management framework, add a little bit of creativity, and Gary and the team came up with the branded asset management framework image. Gary, do you want to tell us like the secret about these three?
Yeah, sure. So we started off on the left with a very high level 4-box framework diagram that includes context, alignment, enablers, and continual improvement, and shows the linkages between the 7 requirements. So a bright spark in our team thought, what would it look like if it stood on its head, and what image would that suggest in that person's mind? And once the image was stood on its side or stood on its end, it made him think about a tree. And we use that image because the context is represented by the roots of the tree. The alignment is represented by the trunk of the tree. The enablers are represented by the sunshine, giving life to everything. And the continual improvement is represented by the interconnecting branches of the tree and their leaves. And we just felt that everyone would be able to relate to an image of a tree and representing the key elements of the asset management framework.
Thank you, Gary. Now we know the secret behind the tree. And the tree was like, the starting point, as I said before. And it was now, the action in there was okay. Now that we got the tree, we got the focal image. How can we combine theory and experience? So again, we started from the experience and we link and we link so linking the 4 key organizational needs to the theory, the 7 headings of ISO 55000. And if you look at the screen, you'll see like the themes like really stand up clearly. Like the first thing was about have a clear context in place, so understanding what the council was setting out to do, like what were the objectives of the council. When it's about the alignment, it was about making the line of sight visible, like the link between the objectives and the activities that were carried out by the asset managers. When it's about enablers, was about linking all the processes and tools that will enable like the activities to be carried out. And my favorite one is continuous improvement. Is like being able, at the end of it, to demonstrate that all the things that we do on the ground are contributing in the achievement of the objectives. So this is what we did, starting from the experience and exploring and understanding and learning about the theory. Um, so how did we do that? We use like an agile methodology to do that, and there are out of all the agile methodologies, we use the Kanban one. If you're not familiar with that, Kanban comes from the Japanese language, and it means visual board. And basically, what you do is like you break down all the activities that needs to be done for the development of the solution, and you group it like under the to do. And then the team comes together and select the activities that will be undertaken in a very short period of time. And this is under and put it like under doing. And as soon as like one activity is completed, like you move it under done. This is a very simple methodology and is very powerful in visualize workload, manage the flow from to do to done. And the thing that I like is that because it's maximize visibility like across the team, you reduce waste and duplication, but also you implement feedback. So it's like a journey that we took with the client and with the end users. So like a few asset managers like with us to really implement the feedback and making sure like what we were doing meant was meaningful for them. So let me tell you a little bit more about the implementation. So I said before, like our starting point was like the tree, and it was about building from that, from the existing framework. So we added a few other elements. So the first one was like, the cloud. And the cloud were the things that sometimes like in an organization can generate like uncertainty, like budget pressure or changing the leadership, and for us it's important to recognize that element. It's not an easy job. We After that, like we were looking for a character that would guide like the end user across through the training, but was also like a symbol of one that would develop and grow and embrace this asset management framework. And we come up with Bax, a farmer that in that case really worked well with the idea of the tree. And the image of the farmer was also like an enabler for us to make sure that training was accessible to all. So it would guide like the end user on activities or additional reading to do, but at the same time like that idea that the framework like is alive. So it's like it's every single person has a role to play to make it like live. When it was about like the ISO and the 7 requirements, so again we were looking for an image that was like really could be like powerful in a way that could guide the end user like through the 7 requirements, but at the same time would fit like well in that image. So we come up with the rainbow, 7 requirements, 7 colors, and each color would represent like a requirement. And just to give you an example, like for each requirement, we started from the example, like the experience, and brought back like the definition, like the theory. So like basically was about linking the theory to what like everyone was doing on the ground. And we added on the benefit to highlight the fact that like each one in the organization has a role to play and generate value in the organization. So this is what we do, what we did for the requirement. To finish like the overview on the implementation, what we decided to do was to share with you like the video that we used to introduce, to launch this training. And as an example also for the different type of engagement that we use video, we use games, we use checking points, we use exercise of the real asset management documents in the organization. But for now, let me share the video with you. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. And as I said, this was like the video that was used to launch the training. So to finish.
Okay, thanks, Chinzi. So just to summarize, we wanted to get across to you in this presentation how we used images to build, develop, and reinforce the training. And the key images that Chinzi has described, you know, we have a tree that represents the asset management framework. We have a farmer that is the guide through the training, or in another word, an enabler. And we have the rainbow, the 7 colors that represent the 7 requirements of the ISO. And using those images, we believe that we've developed digital training that is bespoke to the organization, it's widely accessible, it's friendly, engaging, and therefore will be so much more meaningful to those individuals in the organization so that they understand the role they have to play and they understand how the asset management framework and system works in their organization. And we had, you know, a lot of, you know, very complimentary feedback in that training that we provided. So that's it on behalf of Chinzi and I. Thank you again for the opportunity to present our training ideas. Thank you very much.
And thank you very much from me, and goodbye from London.